I ain't playing, got a weird mind. If you work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shit tastes sour, you should taste mine. I'ma stay in power for a long time. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas,
Hello everyone, Uncle Charles Walhingford back again with another video dealing with relationships and marriage and everything else. And this is not really my usual thing, talking piece, or I don't usually do reactions and everything else, but I had no choice but to go into this one. This one is a subject matter, not because everybody else is doing it. It's just so frustrating for me to watch people fail, watch people get this completely wrong and not help and say something. So I have to say something. All right. First of all, I was watching a video on this, which really pushed it over. And one of the things that a young lady explained in her video was that it doesn't matter how many black women go to this college. It doesn't matter how many black women are at the college. You should be finding these black women. And that sounds just like a woman. It sounds like a woman today. This is part of the biggest problem with young women today is the fact that you completely dismiss facts. Complete and utter fact. This is the reality. If you are completely and utterly outnumbered, you can't expect it to come about. Meaning, here's the thing. I was able to find these stats. Alabama University. Alabama puts out tons and tons of NFL players. That's every year Alabama's going to put out tons and tons of football players. How many black women go to Alabama? What percentage of the female population? How does a person compete with that? Because you got to understand, these men aren't regular guys. These are top tier men that are guaranteed to get millions of dollars. It's not they might get millions of dollars, they're guaranteed to get millions of dollars. How can you compete when you're completely and utterly outnumbered? Here's another school, Michigan University. I wasn't able to find out the percentage of women, black women, so-called black women, but I was able to find the percentage of black people totally, so-called black people totally at Michigan. 7%. Not men, not women, men and women. Men and women is 7% of Michigan University. Ohio State, men and women, 7%. They produce a lot of NFL players. Michigan produces a lot of NFL players. Florida State, 9%, men and women. Southern Cal University, 6% of men and women are so-called black. So that includes the football team. That includes the basketball team. That includes the track team, who are usually dominated by African Americans. All right, here's the thing that's really going to put a different spin on what everybody else is saying, and a lot of people don't understand. These young women that end up with these football players, quite a bit of them. Do I know what numbers? No, but do I know this happens? Absolutely. I have been around enough rich, well off people that this was not an accident or this was not a coincidence. This was not luck. This was none of those things. Guys, we've heard the term before: the rich stay rich and the poor stay poor. The rich get rich and the poor stay poor. What does that mean? It means really rich people act a certain way. If you are a very entrepreneurial, hardworking, just alpha type of person, a person who's just outgoing, who will not settle for less, who is very intelligent, ingenuitive, all these things, you won't be poor. You're not going to be poor, and guess what? You're not going to be your kids aren't going to be poor. It doesn't matter what you are. I have met far too many people who had rags to riches stories, and all of them, they move differently. But people who come from old money, they move even more differently. People who have that generational wealth you hear about, they move quite differently. And they get their kids ready. They get their kids ready. So, young black women who are watching this video, you didn't get beat out by white women. You got beat out by some trained assassins. You got beat out by women who were trained, groomed, and everything else to be these type of wives and girlfriends at some point. I'm gonna tell you this. Trust me, and you probably don't know much about me and everything else, and it's probably hard to believe that I would know this information. These mothers of these young women, these young so-called white women, they weren't surprised. Oh no, they were not surprised. These young women were going to marry or be with these type of men. Kevin Samuels kind of alluded to this years ago. He used to say this all the time, but are you a wife? You want to be married, but are you a wife? This is what he was talking about. There's a lot of things that Kevin Samuels, I agree with a lot of things Kevin Samuels said. Not some things I disagree, but for the most part, I agree, and I knew where he was going. I understand. I understood what he was saying when other people didn't. That's what he was saying. Some of these women you can't compete with. You can't compete with a woman who is used to and trained in seeing how this shit is done. They can't compete. And they're going to these schools. A lot of these schools aren't prestigious. You got to understand, Alabama, to get into Alabama, it's pretty easy. So they're not necessarily sending their best kid. They might be sending their prettiest kid. They might be sending their most talented, physically talented young lady. They're not sending their possible new chemical engineer. No, 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 no. They're not sending that young lady to Alabama or Florida State. Oh no, 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 no. They know what they're doing. That's why they don't have one kid, two kids, three kids. They have a boatload of kids because they can say, okay, you're going to be the engineer, you're going to be a housewife. But trust me, both of you are going to be just as important because you're not going to be a housewife to anybody. You're going to be a housewife to a man who's going to make a lot of money, and I'm going to show you how it's done. That's what happens, guys. And again, you don't have to believe me. And that's exactly what the rich people want you or don't want you to think. They don't want you to listen to me. They don't want you to think I know what I'm saying or trust what I'm saying. They want to continue to go under the radar and say, "Oh, that's because you're right. You're right. It's because we were white women." Yeah, no, ladies, they didn't beat out 8% of the school, 5% of the school, 6% of the school. They beat out a whole lot more. They beat out 45% of the school. Yeah. Yeah. So if they beat out 45% of the school, that means you didn't have a fucking chance. And that's the way they do it. Again, Rich people don't wish, hope, or dream. They prepare. They calculate. They have a long game. Oh, absolutely. They know exactly what they're doing. It's years and years of staying rich. And just the difference of today is people are less racist. They're saying, hey, if you're going to bring home one of them, make them a great one. And that's what they're like. Okay, I got one. Well, you did it. It's all green. It's all money. We're going to take real good care of him. We're going to reinvest that back in our family. Family's a little brown now. Doesn't matter. Green is green. That's what they're thinking. That's what they're thinking. One last thing. I want to hit you with this, guys. Let's go on a different subject. I mean, let's go a different example, but the same kind of thought process. Everybody's seen the movie The Blind Side, right? Everybody knows Sandra Bullock's character, Leanne Tui. How did she meet Sean Tui? She met Sean Tui in college. She was a cheerleader. He was on a basketball team. See, these women, like a lot of women in that area, unlike a lot of black women, young black women, so-called black women that go to these colleges, they go to college to meet a husband. They go to college to get a man. And then what do? They get them early. So if they do get a divorce, they can ask for a whole lot of money. I've been with him since day one. No, I'd been with him since negative day one. He didn't have any money when I was with him. That's what these young women are also doing that you're missing out on. They're not getting them senior year. They're not getting them probably junior year. Sophomore year, freshman. They're using the tactics that their mother taught them. Like they're not going anywhere. Mom, I got him. He's awesome and I got him. Oh yeah. So Sean Tui, he met Leanne Tui. This is exactly the same way. We just don't understand what's going on. Well, some of us do. And then most likely in the comment section, I'm gonna hear, I don't know what I'm talking about. That's just the way it works. All right, guys, I'm Uncle Charles Walhingford. In my videos, I always say I'm just here to help, and that's it. I'm just here to help.